absolute chaos in the market if you're trying to leverage these tumultuous times. Things are pumping 40%, things are dumping 45% here and there. So be very careful. Of course, we are taking the advantage to stack more XRP at these ridiculous prices, $2.82, absolutely insane. But not financial advice, do your own research, stacking and holding, because great times are basically knocking at our doors at the moment. Analysts are saying that we are on the verge of breaking out past the $10 mark and into the triple figures imminently. And we're talking about months now, not years anymore. One of the big things, obviously, that is stopping us now is, of course, the infamous government shutdown in the United States, which is still ongoing as far as I can see. There are some approvals that are due. Is it today or tomorrow? Some ETFs that are related to Solana. And we're going to get the first, sign to see if this is still possible for approvals to happen with the government shutdown. The SEC is part of the government, so in theory, they shouldn't be working since the government is shut down. But you never know what might happen. You might have something, we're living in unprecedented times, and not only might that happen, if that were to happen, not only will it pump the heck out of Solana, it would also pump the heck out of XRP, because what that means is that, the XRP approvals are still in the works, right? So we shall see. I'm not going to hold my breath for that one, but it's in the realm of possibilities, let's just say. But in the meantime, Ripple continues to expand their tentacles around the world. What happens is when we have these down times or these boring sideways movements, people lose track of the bigger picture. So I've got these four things to show you. Some of them are new, some of them old, but it just kind of refocuses our minds towards what the dream is. Obviously, we know that the Ripple Bank thing is a thing. We know that, Ripple is now compatible effectively with FedNow and will be getting settlement status, or at least is associated with organizations that have settlement status in the United States. So that settlement network, all that liquidity will be flowing at least either via Ripple payments or, leveraging RLUSD and the XRP ledger at some point. So a lot of liquidity pent up in that direction, but there's also global liquidity, right? So if you look at this, right, we know that Ripple is making a massive inroad into the Middle East, especially the Gulf area. We've seen Saudi Arabia, we've seen Dubai, we've seen, the part of the UAE, Qatar. Now we have Bahrain. All right, there's an organization called Fintech Bay, and they've allied with Ripple. So there's that alignment between the two to offer the usual things, cross-border payments, remittances, tokenization of real-world assets like real estate and stuff. So all system go in the Middle East. Again, obviously there are extra criteria in the Middle East to do with Sharia law, and we know that XRP is Sharia compatible or compliant. So it's one of the only tokens that will be freely used in the region. And of course, XRP Ledger and Ripple payments are making massive inroads in that. So massive news there, even though it would have just gone blown under the carpet because everyone is fast asleep now, worried about the price of XRP. So shout out to Ripple and shout out to Fintech. A lot coming out from there to do with, moving loads of oil money from one place to the other in that Gulf region, right? In Europe, of course, we have Mica, which is been shown to at least be compatible, if not directly using Ripple payments and the structure of the XRP ledger. We also know that the Bank of England has been testing Ripple payments this whole time. So the XRP ledger is monumental in the UK. Of course, there are other collaborations, but now we have another sign from Eurosystem. Look at this article here. It says Ripple is already strategically integrated into Eurosystem. And it tells us about the SIA chain, which brings blockchain and central banking. Bank of Greece advances DLT integration, linking crypto assets into regulations. Eurosystem test succeeded, confirming Ripple's role in Europe's digital finance. Again, I'll leave all these links in the description if you want to go ahead and read about this yourself. There's a lot of information about what Ripple is doing in Europe, by the way. There are links to other articles concerning other European collaborations with Ripple, etc. In Africa, we have obviously XRP Healthcare, which isn't a Ripple company. It's but a separate company by itself that works on top of or leverages the XRP ledger. So it's a health platform on top of the XRP ledger. It's also an AI platform, by the way. I feel like it's due another video from me because it's one of my favorite projects on the XRP ledger. But look at this. We have, Chipper Cash, which has joined forces with Ripple to unlock faster and more cost-effective crypto-enabled payments across the African continent. So this news came out way back in March, but probably just blew under the carpet because, people weren't paying that much of attention, or people have just forgotten. Their partnership with Chipper Cash marks a key milestone in the expansion of Ripple business in Africa. Consumers and businesses across the continent are increasingly recognizing the potential of blockchain technology, and we are excited to bring our crypto-enabled payment solutions to our partners in the region. Okay. By the way, African countries are heavily invested in mobile payments, and you can even say that they're farther ahead than most parts of the world in mobile payments. I showed you in a video a few days ago that Nigeria is pretty much like number 3 in terms of crypto adoption, just behind India and I think Pakistan and the United States in some aspects. But overall, Nigeria came in as number 3 after India and Pakistan. And there's a lot of crypto enthusiastic people in Nigeria and other parts of Africa like Kenya, Somalia, in Senegal, Ghana, and South Africa. There's a South African town that basically spends Bitcoin. There's a video about that. Also, I'm going to link that in the description. So there's a lot going on. In South America, we have many collaborations. I think chief of which is the Ripple Mercado Bitcoin partnership that enables cross-border payments in Brazil. And I think this is also linked to Portugal. And obviously, we'll talk about this. There's a stable coin in Brazil that is on the XRP ledger. There's just so much going on across the world. So the liquidity is global. My favorite, of course, as I've always said, is liquidity coming from, or that will be coming from, Asia. So the APAC region, China, Hong Kong, Singapore, etc. Real world assets, especially in the real estate category. That is going to bring so much money. I saw a comment in my last video that someone said, I think I'll post it here if I can find it. Someone said that they know the value of XRP, but they just don't know how the value is going to come. But there's a lot of ways that value is going to come to XRP. In my personal opinion, the largest flow is going to come from real estate tokenization in Asia. Second of all, it's going to be from the ETF inflow from the United States. And then third is going to come from just whale FOMO when the time comes. On-demand liquidity, of course, is going to bring in a lot of liquidity when it's being used as bridge currency across the world to move money. Not financial advice, your own research. Just don't be disheartened by current lull. It's only a matter of time before we return to happy days, and all of this would be a thing of the past.